My first property, my goal was to actually just close it. I've been continuing doing that and then just found this duplex. It's just the number works. I've been there probably I've been listening podcasts, all sorts of different things for a full 5 years. But there will be a time that you feel like there's a tipping point that, okay, this is it. Now is the time.
Are you out there spinning your wheels and analysis paralysis, really wishing that you can get that first rental property? If so, you absolutely want to tune into today's episode with our Inner Circle member, Mari, on how she grew her portfolio. This woman committed, jumped, and ran with it. And I think you'll be incredibly inspired on the action that she took, and I hope that it'll help you. Mari, welcome to our episode. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I have loved what you've done in real estate in just the few months we've been working together in the Inner Circle. So I appreciate you coming on. I love action. I love when people kind of put their money where their mouth is and get out there and do the things that they really want. And I think that you embody that so much. So I'm really happy that you decided to come on and share your story. Let's just start with a little of who you are. Who is Mari behind the real estate investor?
Yes. So I work in TV and film industry and I love my job. It's just like my dream job. So I didn't really think that I would ever leave there. That's my W-2 job. And then I'm actually a freelancer. So my work just comes and goes, depends on the project. A couple of years ago, there was a strike, Hollywood actors and writers strike. And then ever since then, the work has been kind of inconsistent. And that was just my main things to look at some other way to get some income, stream of income. And then that's when I thought about investing in real estate.
Gotcha. Just out of curiosity, what things did you consider? I doubt real estate was the one and only thing you looked into. Do you remember some of the other ways to make extra income that you possibly looked into and considered?
Yeah, so I have a few other business. I have publishing business, which is not doing that great, but that's okay. It's sort of my second creative outlet, I guess.
Like your passion project?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And then I also teach sweet making. So that's also another thing that I enjoy. So, but they both are more like you said, like a passion project, not really a stable income or anything like that. So I tried those and then that was great. But I always loved houses. I always loved looking at all those apartments and things like that. So that's the other thing. And also I didn't want it to have some work to exchange my hours to income. So I wanted to have something that it's just passive in a way that makes income when I'm not really doing that job.
Right. I feel like the teaching classes that you mentioned, right? That to me would be very much an exchange of time for money. We'll get together for an hour. I teach you this, you pay me for that hour. But to scale that to make more money, you need more time, right?
Exactly.
With full-time job, that's going to kind of add up. So those are very different things to me, besides starting another business and in those side hustle options versus then real estate investing. So you liked houses. What made you say, you know what, this might be the thing to let me dive into more? Was it solely just that the passivity of it that you saw, or was there another reason?
There was other reasons. We have an apartment in New York City, and then I can see there's tax benefits. There's also a lot of people. There's always some people looking for their houses, so there's always a demand. Yeah, and then I don't know, it just feels right to me in a way.
Tell me more about that. What felt right?
Well, I guess I'm looking at more a long-term span, maybe down to 10 years, 15 years time. I will have some stream of income that I don't actually have to exchange my hours and then work. And when I'm thinking about that long-term goal, it feels like the real estate is the best suit for that goal that I have in a long term. So then I was thinking, okay, well, I need to kind of start looking into it. And then, I hear all those people who started to invest in real estate. And I understand it's not short term, suddenly I'm going to become rich in 5 years. So I also enjoy that slow growth but it just felt right for the long term, more like towards my long term retirement goal. So that was when I thought, I'll do this.
Good for you. I think we often see kind of that short-term instant gratification of, well, I want cash flow now. And I'll be honest, that's what I was really looking for when I grew my
Hmm.
portfolio. No one's going to turn down money in economy today
Yeah.
for, what's going to come today. But I love the fact that you said, well, if this is really what I want in 10, 15 years, you kind of have to start today because every day, every year that you waited longer, now it's really in 11 years. Now it's then 12 years. Now it's 13 years because you just kind of keep pushing it off. And I love that you thought about that now while you enjoy your job and said, hey, right now I'm employed. I don't need the money today necessarily, but really you wanted to set yourself up for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a part of my thought too. While
Okay.
I'm like healthy and it can work, why don't I just build the portfolio that can support my long-term goal? And then also I was going through divorce at the time. I think I when I spoke with you first, I was just really wanted to get on board, but I wasn't like really ready in a realistic way. So I focused on other part that I can work on, like saving money, getting all my finances together. So things that I could do at that point and then
Right.
focused on. And then as soon as I feel like, okay, I'm ready, I jumped on. But because I was getting myself ready mentally and also financially, as soon as I jump on the program, I feel like, okay, well, I'm really going to make actions right now.
You have to.
Yeah.
Right. Talk to me about kind of that preparatory stage. So you said you needed to like get yourself ready financially. What types of things did you do during that time? Because I remember we spoke, it was probably about a year ago now.
Yeah,
We originally
exactly.
spoke around the winter when you were going through the divorce, and we said, hey, maybe not the exact time. Let's get you prepared. And also had questions, wanted to get a little closer to moving
Yeah.
forward with the divorce,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to be building things, then have to share those assets. So we said we'll kind of connect again, but you kind of did that preparatory work first. What were some of the things that you did during that time?
Yeah. So definitely like paid off anything that I can paid off, and then work on the credits. I mean, my credit was pretty good at that point, but like really try to boost the credit as much as I could. And then also get all the emergency funding together. Any money that I can earn extra that goes to saving, and then just trying to really build the first, down payment or whatever the saving that I need to get moving. So that was the like 6 or 7 months I was just doing that while I would feel like, getting myself ready.
Right. I'm glad you did that because that's really what allowed you to come in and be able to hit the road running. But here's my question to you. We have so many lady landlords that go through those steps. I need to get ready. I need to prepare myself. I need to work on my savings. I need my emergency savings. Oh, I want to fund and pay off this bill, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
What for you was the turning point of, okay, I need to prepare myself. I need to prepare myself. I need to prepare myself. Where was the tipping point to say, okay, now I'm ready. I can do things? Because I've had people that I've known in Lady
Hmm.
Landlords that 5 years later are still preparing themselves.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was kind of like not just because of that divorce is getting towards the finalizing, but also my kids were graduating from high school and then went off to college. So now
Mhm.
it's just going to be me by myself. So,
Right.
okay, so I don't really have to, look after the kids anymore. I'm going to have more time. I really like there's no excuse for me to get going, at this point. Like it's not I can't say like I don't have time. Um and also in a way I thought it was like, okay, well, my kid's gonna go to college for 4 years. I'm gonna really jump in that 4 years while kids are doing really like studying. I'm gonna have to do something too to kind of like, upgrade my life. So that is definitely a turning point for me. It's like, okay, well, I'll focus on action rather than just thinking and,
Yeah.
planning.
So I'm hearing time. You
Yep.
assessed your time first.
Yep.
You already assessed your money. We talked about that. And then
Yep.
it sounds like also just having like a truthful conversation with yourself of, I got to use this time properly. I need to get going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. So you reached back out. You decided to jump into the inner circle. What
Yep.
made you say that the inner circle was the right place for you?
So during that preparation time, I also like started to go into like a real estate investment meetings and things like
Yeah.
that, just kind of like, see what people do and then say, which was interesting, but I'm sure you experienced it's very much like a male oriented, very much like a bro sort of atmosphere, which I there's no reason, there's no problem with that. It's just that I didn't feel so kind of like connected. Like it feels a bit intimidated. Like I don't really feel like
Yeah.
I can even ask questions.
I know exactly what that
Um,
feels like. Yes.
yeah. And then not just only because I don't know much about real estate, but also there was this feeling of like, I don't know, maybe just my thinking, but I kind of felt like some people are just like, oh, you're just women. You probably don't know, like, what about investing? You're just like, thinking about like remodeling a kitchen and like, buying a nice couch or like putting a nice light. It's like, no, I am actually wants to really like really invest.
Yeah. You
But
didn't feel like people were taking you serious.
in a way, yes.
Did you feel that way with me, with our group?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. I so
Good.
that was the reason that I wanted to join the female oriented group so that I can feel more like connected to the group and also like share the same kind of like struggles. And then so that was definitely like the reason that I joined and I'm very, very grateful that I'm a part of it now.
I'm glad you found us. And I'm glad you said that because I feel like I've said on other podcasts before, we're Lady Landlords, I'm not an anti-male group,
Yeah.
right? They have their place. But for example, when you and I got on this call, we spent a few minutes talking about me being a new mom, what it's like having an unpredictable schedule with like breastfeeding. Men just don't get that. They don't, even if they have kids, even if, they have newborns, they just can't empathize in the same way and have kind of that same grace, I feel like, for another woman going through that and experiencing just the things that are unique to us.
Right.
So, and that's something that I found so important for myself as well within our community. Just having so many other women that are like, yep, totally get that. Yep, totally get that. We have
Hmm.
just specific differences. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you were able to feel connected
Yeah.
with a lot of other members. So you came into that inner circle, and I remember like
Yep.
our first call, you were like doing homework, following up with steps, making moves. How did it feel to start now taking action after this being something you'd wanted to do for quite some time?
Oh, it's great. It's really great. The program is very thorough. If you commit it, like there's always a action item that I can take. Like every week I'm like taking the program and it's like, okay, yeah, this is what I can do next. Oh, this is what I can do next. And then,
Yeah.
you always follow up, like what's your goal for this week? What did you accomplish? So it really gives me this like a great support that what I can commit this week and then what action I need to take and then what I accomplish. So what I'm going to do next. It's like really like very structured and then it's very clear what I need to do.
To me, that was one of the most difficult things that I've noticed, not just for myself, but for a lot of other members, is kind of well, what do I do next?
Hmm.
What am I supposed to be doing? And I think it's so important when we can get some clarity and some focus on where we're supposed to be and just say, this is the space that I'm supposed to be working on. Let me take that sizable chunk
Yeah.
instead of all of real estate. Let me take that
Yeah.
sizable chunk and go and do it. Did you at any point feel like, no, real estate's not the right thing for me? No, I'm not going to be successful in this? Or did you just kind of stay focused on this is the step that I'm on? This is the thing that I need to get through next.
Yeah, I mean, like I always have a doubt, like everybody does. It's like, am I
Right.
doing right? Like, or like, is this the right things to ask? Or, like I don't even know what to do it like. But then you get all those questions, and then they started to answer one question at a time. Like for example, like where do I want to invest? It's like first question.
Eh,
Okay. I don't like I probably I would say like I don't know, but then like no, you know something and then you have to like kind of keep asking the question. Like that's what I did. I just keep asking my questions. Like okay, you don't know the whole thing, but you probably know one little thing, like you
Well,
don't.
and even with the market, that did show up. We originally started talking, well, do we invest in New York City? Do we look at other parts of New York? Do we go kind of farther away? And that was really the first question was, do we invest locally or not? And
Mm-hmm.
for you, it was there were other markets out there that were just better for your long-term needs.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did it feel when you settled on a place that I'm going to call it long distance investing? It's not a place
Mm-hmm.
we can get to on the subway.
Yeah.
So, how did it feel when you decided to go and picked a market that was actually out of New York State, not just the city?
Yeah, it's a little bit scary, the first one, but then the program guides you. Okay, so this is the team that you have to create. So I'm like, okay, well, first I need to find this like agent. Okay, second I need to find this. And then you just do one thing at a time, like small chunk.
Right.
Like you just have one goal a week. And then as you go, it's like you solve those puzzles and then it comes together. So by the time I got like a far down, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing it and then just keep going it.
And that's why I think it's so important to really think about what is the next step? What is not the next 14 steps, right? Because that becomes overwhelming. That's
Yeah.
where if you get decision fatigue, that's where the doubt could really kind of get into your mind. Or for me, it was always just feeling so overwhelmed with all of the things. But meanwhile, for you, if it was like, cool, interview realtors
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh, okay, fine. Like that was like a clear like next step. And that's okay. Did I do that? Yes or no? And I feel like one of the best things I heard about goal setting is that goals are something you actually should be able to accomplish. If a goal is something you fail twice, your goal is set too high, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you were like, hey, I want to buy two rental properties by the end of the month, and yet you don't have any of the steps in between today with no properties and to get one of them, to get the funding, any of those things, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I'm glad that you really were like, okay, let me take this one step, do it, knock it out of the park, and move to the next step, and then go to the next one, and then the next one. So
Yeah.
you ended up out of state, you ended up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Tell us about the first property that you bought. What was it like speaking with that realtor and just looking at listings of possibilities?
Yeah. Yeah. So I decided the location is a Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. I found this really good agent that I feel pretty good with. And then he started to send me all those listings. So what I did was everything that sent, I'll go through the deal check, like everything, like just to check, see what I can do. So I spend hours and hours just like deal checking it. And more you do it, you started to get the idea, okay, this might work. Well, like first time, like my skill of checking the deal was pretty, I guess, not like a beginner's level. And then like I thought that this would work great, but then like the numbers tell us completely different. Yeah. Or like
It's a skill though. It's
yeah,
something that like you had to go through and until you look at each of the numbers, we don't know if it's a possibility or not.
absolutely. So, and then like I focus on, okay, well, don't get too attached to the property because like I sometimes get attached to it. It's like I think this is going to be great, but then the number doesn't say, then I'm just trying to learn to let go and then just find the good deal that the numbers actually back up. And then that's when I found one house. Um, and then my first property, my goal was to actually just close it. Like it's not going to be a home run, but that's okay. This is really for me to step my first step into it. So that's what I focused on, trying to like make this actually close. And then I guess if I do more search, maybe I'll find like better deal. But my idea was like, okay, I'll do this whole complete process. And then that was my goal. And then that's what I did.
I heard two really important things in there. One, you let numbers dictate decisions. right? You said you had to remove kind of your emotion from it. You had to remind yourself that it wasn't something to be attached to, but really let the numbers say, is this a good deal, a bad deal?
Hmm.
Do we need to, what can we change? What can we do to turn a bad deal into a good deal? I am so happy that you chose to listen to the numbers. That's how we find success there. And then the second thing that I heard that was really important for you was to go through the full cycle of purchasing the property, right? You clearly did not want to add up with a dud. You clearly did not want a money pit. And we also were going to ensure that that did not happen within the inner circle. But what I really hear that you said is you understood your expectations and the outcome. You
Yeah.
weren't looking for the home run, that first property, but you knew that, hey, if it was a good deal, let's move on it and let's just get it done. And
Yeah.
I feel that that's so important for us to remember that sometimes that progress is better than perfection. And I think with that property, that really fit that box. It was a lower risk property that still had great potential within it that could have went a couple different ways, which was really nice to have a little bit of a plan A, plan B, plan C. But you did it. You moved through. You took action. Are there things that could have been different? Is there things that could have been done in a different way? Could there have been other properties out there that could have been a fit for you? Yeah, but you wouldn't be closed and you wouldn't have your at least first property by that point in time if you chose not to move forward. What is the one thing that you are most happy with on that first property?
So I used my IRA to buy
Hmm.
the property. I had another savings, but I had more savings towards in the IRA. So I decided to use that because I could just put money in there to use the IRA. I could purchase the first property in cash, which was a very, I think, a good as my first experience because, people wants to just a cash offer. So I got a lot lower price than I originally thought because I was buying the cash. So I thought that worked really well. And then I was a little skeptical when when I send the offer. It's like maybe like it's too low or I don't know. But then I'm like, okay, well that's it. It's okay. I'll just send an offer. Let's just see what they say. And then they said that's sort of okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it talks. They're saying, okay, what I'm gonna do, what am I gonna do? So yeah, I guess it was just kind of like a meant to happen in a way. And I'm
Yeah.
actually glad that I sent the offer rather than just, thinking and planning. I just did and they accepted it. So it was great.
Yeah. You don't get anything you didn't ask for, right? So
That's
in this
right.
situation, listen, all they could have come back with a no, they could have come back with a counter, or they could have accepted, but you would have never known the answer if you did not ask. So I'm glad you did. Also, you used money you already had in your IRA to be
Mhm.
able to invest. So I love the fact that you were able to leverage an account that you already had set up. But with that, you really bypassed having to deal with lending. Now, don't get me wrong, the process of investing out of an
Mhm.
IRA is a process in itself. For any of our listeners out there, if you want to learn more about investing with your IRA, head back to Lady Landlords and look for our investing, an episode about that with Matt Sorensen. You can also just put down the letters IRA down in the comments of this episode, and I'll make sure to send you over that episode so that way you can dive into specifically how to do that. So, Mara, that's absolutely a process and a skill to have learned. But for this specific property, you didn't have to worry about where the down payment was coming from, where the lending was coming from, the timeline of it, any
Yeah.
of those pieces because of it. It also gave you extra leverage within your offer, being a cash offer, to then to leverage then a lower price for that. So I think that was smart because it also took your buying process into sizable chunks. You didn't have to learn the lending process in addition to the deal analysis process, in addition to the closing process, in addition to the tenant management process. You were able to focus on, yeah, we have to get the money out of the IRA, but you were able to focus on the actual purchasing and really lessened your learning curve by doing that. So I think that was helpful.
Yeah. So buying a real estate by IRA is definitely, like you said, it's a process. There's extra
Hmm.
restrictions. You have to do everything legally correct. So it's in a way, it's like you said, I skipped some process of like lending. So faster for me, there were extra process that I needed to go through. And then that was, something that I needed to learn. And I'm very grateful that I actually did learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an incredibly great way to get into investing is still using your IRA. And there are a lot of nuances to it, just like all the different types of financing to it. So I'm glad that you at least had that experience and it was a different way to be able to use funds that you already have to then have a leg up in your offer, which I think was really smart.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you closed on that property over the summer.
Yeah.
What was it like now having your first property?
Oh, it's great. I just did the fist bump and all that kind of stuff. And then I mean, there's still like a stuff that I need to work on to stabilize the unit. That's like the second part of it, but it definitely gives me a confidence. And I can now say I'm a real estate investor properly,
Okay.
like I am. So that was a huge confidence boost for sure. And then it gives me this like feeling of like, okay, I'm doing it. I can do it. This is something that I'm actually enjoy doing it too.
I can tell that you do. And for any of our listeners that are watching this on YouTube rather than on the podcast, the smile you had on your face when I asked you like how it felt to have that first property was just amazing. I loved it. But I want to ask a follow-up question in there. You said that you felt like now that you closed on that first property, you were able to really say for real that you're a real estate investor. Did
Hmm.
you feel before the property that you were kind of in that like imposter syndrome where like once again going to meetups being like, "Oh, I want to be a real estate investor. No, I don't own any property." Did you feel like you couldn't say you were a real estate investor before you like closed on that one?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really call myself as a real estate investor before, even though that I own a primary home. But yeah, it's a little different. Now I know what to look for, and then how can I look for. So yeah, definitely feels more confidence to calling myself as a real estate investor. Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see that too. It's almost like you don't want to, I could picture like going to a meetup and then being talking to somebody and not knowing kind of their experience and then being like, yeah, I'm a real estate investor. And then being like, great. So how many do you own? And being like, well, none. And then them being like, oh, well, you're not serious. Right. And we were talking earlier about already feeling that battle of people looking at us as women as not being serious or we're probably a realtor or we're an interior designer rather than the actual investor. But now I feel like you can kind of go in and like back that up and be like, yeah, I bought a property in another state for that matter. Not even, your own, you're not house hacking. It's not a local place. It's a property that's a good couple hours away. So what I also love is you talked about how like kind of next step is you stabilizing the one that you bought, right? There's a
Yeah.
couple little things we got to do to the property, but you're already looking at the next deal. You've already brought other properties, other deals to the inner circle, being like, I think I found the next one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm working on the second one. Yes.
what had you decide to go for that one? To go for another one so soon?
Yeah, again, I continue to do the deal check every day, whatever the property that my agent sent. So I've been continuing doing that and then just found this duplex. It's just the number works. And the
Yeah.
more I think about it, like, why not? Like it's not like I mean, it's a still this will be I need a funding, so I need to talk to the lenders, and so it's a different type of purchasing. But I feel like once I have this whole real estate things is moving forward, why don't I just keep going? Because what's the worst things can happen? Like I'm just gonna send the offer, they will say no. If they say yes, then I'll work on the next things. Now I feel more like, okay, it's not like so scary. I just keep going the one step at a time. And if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, that's still great. Like I learned something from it. So that's how I kind of like feel with that second property that I'm working on right now.
Right. I think that's why I loved that you jumped in and went through the whole process the first time and also being okay that it wasn't going to be a home run. Most people's first deals, most people's second deals aren't home runs. Because by seeing that process, to me, what I think is really cool about real estate investing is it's kind of a cyclical process. It's kind of like step one, step two, step three, step four. Okay, now we're closed, go back to step one.
Mhm.
Every deal is going to be different. Even if you use the same type of financing with the same team, I've used the same lender, the same realtor for the past 4 or 5 properties now. I've bought in similar markets, even. I buy the same type of properties. And every single time there's something completely different about the deal. But what I love about it is the same basics are there. So for
Mhm.
you, you're just going back to step one right now. You just closed on that property, know your market, you know your team, you're back kind of in deal analysis, you're doing your due diligence on the deal. You're kind of at like step three right now. Now, it's moving back on as to getting your offer and closing if you decide to move forward after the due diligence stage. But every single deal is going to have its own nuances. There's no two deals that are exactly the same. So if you sit there being like, well, I have to know everything before going for the first one, that's why so many people get stuck never doing anything because no matter what you do, it's always going to be slightly different. Right now,
Mhm.
cool. You have a different funding component to it. You're not using your self-directed IRA. We're going to be going with a different type of lending here. But now the rest of the steps are kind of the same.
Mhm.
The only thing that's different is now the funding piece.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then I don't know, in the back of my mind, I feel like if it works, it meant to work. If it doesn't, it just wasn't meant to work. But I'm focusing more towards to taking actions rather than just wait because I feel like I've got the momentum going. And
Yeah.
then, I got all the supports from the inner circle members. Every week I get this cheerleaders like supporting our journey together. So like, well, I get this, I'll just keep going.
Do you feel like now the second property, do you feel that the process is less intimidating than the first?
Yeah, yeah, I feel less barrier of like taking actions because like I've been through a whole the process now. I get I feel more like, okay, so this is what I'm doing right now this week, and then I'll do move on to this for the next week, and then this is going to be like, week goal, month goal, and then see what happens. So it's definitely
Yeah.
less intimidating in terms of knowing what's the next step is.
Right. And you also said you were kind of happy to be, you'd rather be taking action
Mhm.
than kind of being in that waiting stage
Yeah.
and the preparation stage. What do you feel is the risk that women take when they don't? What is the risk in waiting?
Well, if you keep waiting, maybe the good deal would be gone. If you keep waiting, you feel even more sort of like frustrated, maybe like the fact that you didn't take actions. But if you take actions, you might succeed, you might not, but that's okay. You actually did it. I think that's what good things about taking actions. Like it might work, it might not work. It'll work if it meant to work. But
Right.
at least you did something and then you learned something.
Right. And we take all that information kind of into that next deal, into that next opportunity. So even if somebody comes back and says, no, your offer's too low, you learn something from that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just keep moving on until they say fine, and then like you said, and then you just don't know what other people accept until you actually submit the offer. Yeah, so you maybe think like, oh my gosh, this is maybe too low. They might not gonna like, take this. But everybody have different situations.
Correct.
You just don't know. Maybe they're okay with that. If you ask them, okay, so this is a cash offer, so we'll close it really quick, then it seems like that's what they wanted. So you just don't
And
know.
that's the point of negotiation, right? Okay, maybe they come back and said, okay, we'll take your lower offer, but we need to close in this time period. Or maybe they would say, okay, we need a little bit higher, but hey, we're okay if you need funding. We're not in a rush. We want a better price, right? Those are the things that you could have learned out of that situation. You
Yeah.
learned that that person specifically was perfectly happy to take your money if they could run. So that worked out. Not every deal is going to be like that. This next one that you're working on, the offer might end up being something different, but it's worth always asking. Do you feel working full time, being a mom, do you feel like real estate was able to fit into your schedule? Do you feel like it took it over and you're like, oh my God, why did I take on real estate investing? Oh my God, it's so much work, so much energy, so much of my time is going to it? Or do you feel like it fits with working full time, being full time mom?
I think it's all about priority. What's your priority? Like, I really think that this is going to be, my priority to put my hours and time into it because I have a
Right.
long-term goal that I wanted to achieve. So
Right.
then you will make it work. I will, if I have to get up early an hour to just kind of do whatever I need to do, I'll do it because I know this is something that I'm working towards to and I'm have a goal that I want to achieve, then yeah, I mean, everybody have like busy time and then everybody have like, maybe like you're tired or sick. You can just rest if those times, but like when you can, you just spend as much as time you possibly can and then just keep going. If I know this isn't my priority, I'll make it work. I'll just get the time from somewhere and then yeah, just do that. There's always time, I think. If I don't like scroll my Instagram for half an hour, then yeah, I can do some of it. Like I can make a call to lenders,
Right.
I just know that this is important to me. So I'll just make it work.
I feel like it's that phrase, how does that go? Like if you need something done, give it to a busy person, right? Because when something needs to get done, it gets done. So for you, Mari, it's been I need to get funding for my deal. Therefore, I need to call a lender. There's
Yep.
no maybes, there's no later, there's no buts. You do it. Are there other things that probably you've had to say no to, or that you've said, no, I'm not going to do that? Well, yeah, those things clearly then haven't been as much of a priority
Hmm.
as then the goals that like you're working on. So I see how you're saying like sometimes it's just nature just kind of prioritizes for you, right?
It does. Yeah.
Like you said, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to these calls, I'm doing these modules, I'm joining in and talking with my realtor, whatever it may be. You're probably spending less time on Facebook or Instagram and you don't even know it. You don't even feel deprived of it because you're focusing on the thing that's really important to you.
Yep.
So here we are now, and you're working on second property now in 6 months, going through due diligence stage. I know we've been going back and forth with some questions on that. So we'll have
Yeah.
to do an update to this episode on
Yeah.
what happens with second property.
Sure.
But 2026, what do you want to see out of that year?
Yeah. So 2026, I have few goals. Definitely, I get the good feeling with the second ones. But you never know. But I'm definitely going to move forward with the second one. And then maybe I'll try to find something to do with flip next year. That's what I wanted to do.
Yep.
I think that would be a good move to get some cash so that I can make more offers. So that's definitely something that I'm looking into it. And then that's going to be a different skills, but I feel like if I can find a good team, I think I can do it. So definitely I'll do
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. And we do have, for any of our listeners out there, we do have an episode all about what I think is the secret strategy for 2026. So if you've not listened to that episode, I do recommend going and listening to that one because I think that's what Mari's going to be focused on in that year. That's going to help her be able to raise that capital there. And we also have other episodes about how to be able to build your team. And those are the same strategies that Mari is also employing as she grows her team. So, Mari, I think that's a great place for you to be next year. I think with just laying the foundations that you did this year, that is going to be able to really help systemize your process moving forward. I think it will continue to help you learn more, help you be able to easily navigate your way through more and more deals as you continue to scale. And I think that's absolutely going to help you set up for success as you continue to move forward. So I have loved watching your journey just these past few months. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing kind of what you've gone through. For any of our listeners out there that are still sitting there being like, I'm really glad that worked for her. I don't know if that's going to work for me. What would you say to them?
I absolutely understand how they feel. I've been there, probably like I've been listening podcasts, all sorts of different things for like a full 5 years. But there will be a time that you feel like there's a tipping point that, okay, this is it. Now is the time. And then I think when that time comes, just focusing on one little things that you can do that week and just keep doing one little things. And then you'll get there. I think that's what I feel.
I think that's great. I love the idea of the sizable chunks and really making things realistic, rather than feeling that overwhelming pressure to have everything perfect and to do everything overnight. So, Mari, thank you for that reminder. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Ladies, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next episode of the Lady Landlords podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. And if you enjoyed today's episode, and I know you did, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Reviews help other women be able to find our community and get to be able to connect with us and within the Lady Landlords Facebook group. Thank you so much, and see you on the next episode of the Lady Landlords podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlord.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.